MarzGurl.
I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
And welcome to episode 71 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover Season 2, Episode 20 of City Hunter, titled, Kaori Gets Amnesia! Goodbye, my dear partner.
This is one of the most important episodes of this season.
Of the whole show, I would argue.
That's true. That's very true. I think literally only one other one tops this.
I think there's only a handful of episodes that get up to this level of, oh, we're really affecting the plot. There's maybe about 4 more of them max in this season, and then there's like 2 other ones sparsed throughout the other 2 remaining seasons.
Right.
So yeah, we're here for the feels. We're coming for them this week. But before we get into that, because this is the kind of podcast that we're doing, we want to go ahead and say happy birthday to both Kaori and Ryo, because technically their birthdays were this week.
Yay!
Yay!
Ryo is a big old guess, because Kaori just made his birthday up. Have we even reached
We haven't even
that
gotten to that episode yet.
Oh, spoilers! So nobody knows how old Ryo is or when his birthday is, and Kaori has to make it up for him. But okay.
But we do know what day Kaori was born, and that was on March 31st.
Yay!
Yay! So happy anniversary to the day Makimura died.
Oh.
Because that happened to be
a really horrible association with
Isn't
these
it,
two
though?
things. It's a very emotional whiplash sort of a day.
It is. If you have a day that you've been really looking forward to and it's marked by a tragedy, you already weren't going to forget that day, but that just makes it worse.
Yeah. Bummer.
So, sorry about that, but birthdays are nice, and I hope she got a shiny new hammer.
Because, she's got a lot of them. We're going to see quite a lot of them in this episode, and where she keeps all of them. At least one of the locations where she keeps
At least one of them.
It seems to me she has a lot of backup storage.
Yes, I would agree. And that is important, which is why we're going to talk to you today about our sponsor. No, we're not sponsored. There's nothing about backup storage. We don't even get sponsors on this show. It's just, we're doing this for us.
Yeah, if somebody would want to sponsor us, I can think of a couple of places that would be appropriate, like Manga Hot, or Retro Crush, or Discotech. That would be great if we could get
yeah, that would be nice.
Sponsorship from you guys.
If any of the 5
I feel like we're doing you a favor for all of the 5 people that listen. Okay?
To any of the 5 people listening, please reach out to them and let them know to come holla at your boy, alright? I'd appreciate that. We'd both appreciate that, thank you. But having gotten all of that out of the way, we have no time to waste getting into this episode, so let's just jump right into the beginning, where Kaori and Ryo are out on the street looking at flowers.
I'm pretty sure they were doing something else, but Kaori decided she wanted to do some window shopping at a flower store they just happened to be passing by. She likes carnations. That's very nice. I like carnations, mostly because carnations are the January birth flower, and my birthday is in January, so I'm like, aw, carnations, that's nice.
And much the same, she is pointing out to Ryo what certain flower colors mean, and that white carnations mean love.
Aw, that's very, very special, and Ryo's pretending that he doesn't care. I feel very strongly at this point in time that Ryo is just playing off that he doesn't care and pretending that he's not listening, and I think it's going to be very clear later on. He's always listening even when it seems like he's not.
But for right now, he's pretending that he's more interested with the white that would be on panties of 2 girls walking by that he's trying to look up their skirts.
And he's really lamenting the fact that he can't see up their skirts because girls are protective of their skirts and they're kind of just blocking their own skirts from the wind or anybody who might be able to get a peek up. Yeah, girls are kind of conscious of that sort of thing.
So in other words, proving why they should be so careful because of people like Ryo.
Yep, good job, Ryo.
And naturally, this pisses off Kaori because she was trying to have a moment. She even almost says as much that she was trying to have a moment talking about romance, and he had to go and ruin it.
And he's running away and he's laughing, which is, again, part of the reason why I'm like, he's just dicking with her because he thinks this is really funny. Even though he probably takes it seriously. But playing with her and pretending he's not taking it seriously is a fun game to him.
Yeah, because with some people, that is kind of in its own weird way a love language, that you just like getting a rise out of your partner. You like dicking with them. And that's just how Ryo expresses it, I imagine.
So then they also go up that bridge where the 2 girls were walking. They're way far ahead. They're not involved anymore. We're not going to see them again.
They're just a means to an end to get them up on the bridge. So as they're up there on the bridge and Ryo is trying to dodge Kaori's hammer strikes, Kaori notices just out of the corner of her eye, down beneath them in a little car, there's a window window rolled down with a gun barrel sticking out of the back.
Pretty crazy Kaori noticed this, and Ryo either didn't notice it or he did and he was just kind of slow on the uptick.
Which is inconsistent for somebody like Ryo because usually with his super hearing, he's the first person to catch on to that.
So maybe he really was like, I am having a good time with Kaori right now, I am playing around, and it meant that I was slacking a little bit.
See, I was trying to rationalize this while we were watching the episode, and it could be one of two things. Normally, the way that it works is that when somebody cocks a gun, or you hear the chamber turning around, or, ammo is being inserted, that's the thing that Ryo can hear, right? So if the person in the car in the back seat wasn't doing any of those things, then it's entirely possible that he couldn't have heard it.
That's true.
And then alternately, yes, like you were saying, he could have been just that much wrapped up in dicking around with Kaori that he wasn't paying as much attention, which does mean, in fact, that one, he was slacking off, and two, she is a weak point for him.
Yeah, I think a number of people throughout this series identify Kaori as his weakness.
And so, yes, Kaori sees that there is a gun drawn and trained on them. Ryo notices a second too late and calls for Kaori to stay back, but Kaori moves forward to try and protect Ryo of all things, which is different from just about every other episode we've ever seen.
Right.
The gun goes off, it is fired in their direction, it nicks Kaori right at about the Achilles tendon almost. It doesn't tear it, thank God.
Yeah, not really the heel, but kind of just above that. Yeah, it definitely draws blood. It's just enough to, she's really knocked off her feet, and unfortunately, her feet are right above the stairs.
And so she tumbles all the way down the stairs, and she takes a pretty nasty hit. She's bleeding from the forehead, the car drives off, and Ryo doesn't have time to chase after them. He has to attend to Kaori right now.
Right, and Kaori, I believe, is passed out at the moment. I mean, she doesn't look okay, that's for sure.
As you would figure, they've got to take her to the hospital. They get her checked out. Reika and Saiko show up just to check on her because they are, in fact, worried about her well-being. The nurse comes in and tells them, okay, you can come talk to her now. And they are all there at her bedside. They wait for her to wake up, and they're like, oh, thank God you're awake. And she says those words that you always hear in most soap operas. Who are you guys?
And immediately it's like, oh no, it's amnesia. Of course it's amnesia.
At least it's not like BS amnesia, like legitimately she took a hard hit to the head.
And at least we didn't start all of City Hunter from episode 1 with somebody who had amnesia. So somebody just developed it in the middle of it, and it's not a forever thing.
And so the doctor's telling them, look, it's most likely a contusion, it could be encephalitis, but we doubt it. There are a couple of things that we could do to try and get her memories back. She could get it back right away, or maybe not even at all. But the best thing you can do for her right now is just give her little hints about who she is. Don't push her. I mean, yeah, granted, if you gave her a really big shock, some patients have responded to that, but for right now, just give her little hints, and we'll go from there.
So they go back, and they start just trying to talk to her, and the best they can do is just start reintroducing themselves. This is Reika, this is Saiko,
and this is Ryo, who Kaori immediately has this feeling of, wait a minute, you're just introducing yourself to me right now, but I feel like I know you.
Like I've known you for a long time. I don't know why, but I do.
But you two over here, you two broads, I don't know you.
It's really, really sad. But they're like, well, clearly Ryo is important to her then, because she's got some vague inkling of who this guy is.
On some deeper level, she's still got that emotional attachment to him.
Right.
And so now that, we are establishing, there's some missing memories here, Ryo takes it as an opportunity to go ahead and dick with her a little bit and moves over to where Reika is and says, oh, just so you know, Reika and I over here, we're getting hitched pretty soon.
And Reika's like, what? No, we aren't. What are you saying? And Ryo's like, no, just play along. The doctor said maybe a shock to her system would work. So if we say something really shocking, then maybe she'll come out of it. And, there have been times in the past where he has kind of flirted with Reika. And this is like the one time where he's kind of playing with her. And I genuinely believe what he really means is to shock Kaori, not to take an opportunity of attack on Reika.
Although he does say, well, if this doesn't work, we might have to move to some hardcore love action.
Which I still think is part of the shock that he's trying to implement on Kaori.
Now, to be fair, his hypothesis is somewhat founded because just out of nowhere, a hammer forms in Kaori's hand, labeled for Kaori only, and immediately Ryo goes flinching back under the bed.
But Kaori has to stop and realize, hey, what's this hammer doing in my hand? Where'd this come from? Saiko's just like, don't worry. This happens all the time. It's just a thing you do.
This is a reflex for you. The reflex is a song from the 80s, and I don't remember how it goes.
Oh my god.
And so Kaori's asking Saiko, wait, so you're saying I use this on someone? Oh my god. I feel so sorry for whoever I do this to.
No, you don't.
Well, no, and then Reika...
You don't know who it is you're hitting.
Well, and then Reika points out, oh, then you're probably talking about Ryo down here. Look at him cowering on the floor. And then from a deep-seated place of regret, Kaori says, oh my god, Mr. Saiba, I'm so sorry.
I hope he takes that to heart and takes it seriously, like, well, there was once a time she was sorry for doing this to me, and then she went back to pulling hammers out of God knows where, hitting me with them again. Not so sorry anymore.
But it's the whole thing here that, one, Kaori remembers something about her old life on a muscle memory level, because she knew this is the moment where I normally have this sort of thing. Even if her brain didn't remember, her body did.
Right.
But beyond that, they see, well, there's kind of a conflict of interest here, because on the one hand, we understand, watching the show and seeing all these episodes, why Kaori would do this, because she's trying to stop Ryo from being perverted. But at the same time, I don't see how you couldn't see that there's a bit of jealousy in this.
Right, of course. I mean, her response is, well, congratulations to you two, because you're gonna get married. At least that's what you told me. And they have to tell her, oh, no, he was just lying, it was just a joke. But at the same time, why would she respond in a way that seemingly is like angry? She doesn't even realize why. Yeah,
right.
That's jealousy for sure. Jealousy or just reeling back in anger at Ryo constantly dicking with women. Mm-hmm. One of the two.
Which, leads into this part right here. So Ryo kind of dismisses himself for a second, like, I'll be right back, I'm gonna go do a thing. And Reika is upset at him because why is he dicking around with Kaori right now, of all times? And Saiko is there trying to tell her, look, you just have to know him, alright? He's actually really shaken up about all this.
Right.
And no sooner does she say that you hear the screams of nurses down the hall with Ryo chasing their skirts.
So while Ryo's out of the room, Kaori starts asking, well then, okay, how do I know Ryo? What's the nature of our relationship between the two of us?
Well, the relationship you have with Ryo, it's incredibly strong, nowhere near what we have. Ours is nothing compared to y'all's, but it's kind of hard to define.
She kind of explains, well, you live in the same building, and, you cook for him, and you're...
You do business together.
Assistant, and in business, you're business partners. That seems important.
But Kaori is still actively confused by what all this means, and she asks, well, wait, is he and are we married? And
not yet! I love how she says not yet.
Right.
That's the expectation. Like, everybody else can see it. Everybody else knows that you two are like a thing, and you two are the last to know about it.
And we've seen that trope in anime for ages now, of the two main characters are the last people to know it. Like, what is it? This week we just got done watching Tomo-chan is a Girl.
Right.
Which is a nice departure from that trope of it takes forever for the two main characters to get together.
I mean, I personally think it takes kind of a long time as far as when Tomo says that she loves the dude and how long it takes in narrative for him to finally figure it out for himself and what his feelings are and to answer in return. Mm-hmm. But it does not take like 60 episodes, no.
Well, no, but it's just kind of the whole thing of like very early on, I think with those characters, comparing it to something like this, just because it's that kind of a relationship, I feel like for the longest time now, both in that anime and in this one, both characters know how they feel about the other one. They're just holding it back for as long as humanly possible because they don't want it to get confusing,
And they don't want to have to stop a TV show.
That's very true.
They just want the TV show to be the same for as long as humanly possible.
But since Saiko and Reika can't really spoil what's actually going on in Kaori and Ryo's relationship without just outright telling her, they kind of take a step back and like, okay, well, one of us is going to go get you some clothes and the other one's going to go down to the gift shop, so we'll be back later, bye. And they just kind of recuse themselves.
Right.
And so they find Ryo downstairs outside the hospital just sitting on a bench bench, looking contemplative up at the sky, and they're kind of pissed at him, like, why the hell did you leave? What the hell are you doing down here? And so Ryo's saying, well, this is a good opportunity for me. I should probably think about finding a new partner.
How about you, Reika? You'd be a pretty good one. Why don't we go ahead and get started? And so she slaps him.
Yeah, she slaps him and calls him a jerk because this is a terrible thing for her to do, and she walks off. And so Saiko tells him, this isn't like you. This is really weird for you to be doing this right now in front of Kaori.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Hey, Saiko, can you just look up this license plate? It's the license plate of the car that shot at Kaori. Okay, thanks, bye.
Well, yeah, I can do that, but where are you going? Oh, I'm going to the gift shop. I'm going to get Kaori some flowers.
Oh, wow, flowers, huh? Funny how we were just talking about flowers at the beginning of this episode.
And funny how Kaori was getting after Ryo for not really paying attention. Well, guess what? That mofo was paying attention.
Of course he was. He's always paying attention. He's just also always playing it off.
So we're back up in Kaori's room, and he did in fact buy those flowers. And what flowers did he buy?
They were the white ones. So he was listening because she listed off 3 different colors. And 2 of those colors were not colors that were supposed to mean love, but white was. And he put white carnations in that vase. And it's really, really hard to not be like, oh, was he just not paying attention? All he heard was carnations. He just picked the white ones because that's all he could remember was carnations. Yeah, white's fine. Here, put them in the vase.
Nuh-uh. This dude's trying to say something right now.
But also, he's looking out the window like, is she gonna catch on that I gave her the white carnations? Does she remember what they even mean? I'm gonna look out the window and not look her in the eye right now.
And he's gonna have a real good reason, because this scene right here.
Yeah.
This scene right here. This is everything.
This is the one, yeah.
This is it. So let's go. So Kaori starts asking Ryo, since no one else is around right now, about what he thinks of Sayako and Reika.
And she's bringing it up because she's like, well, clearly they love you. And he's like, they don't love me. And she's like, oh, yes, they do. You can just tell. Oh, is that woman's intuition? No. This is like the way they behave. Like the way they talk about you, the way they behave around you. They clearly love you, but I don't know how you feel about them.
And she goes a step further to say, I know what that's like. I love someone. I just can't remember who it is.
But I do remember he saves me a lot.
He protects me. And this is it right here. He knows how I feel about him, but he never says anything. Right there. Kaori says, without realizing that this is all on the table right now. She is aware on some definitive level, 1, how she feels about Ryo directly, and 2, that she has made steps on some level, previous memory, whatever, to make sure that he knows, and she has picked up on the fact that Ryo has not responded to her.
Well, I think it's interesting because I think if Kaori were actually there in her own brain at this moment and overthinking the situation, she might not be so sure that he does know, because she has never straight up said it. And I think there have been a lot of times where she's done stuff to try to get his attention, and then he does one of his, I'm just dicking around with her things, and then she's not really sure that he was ever really paying attention in the first place. But maybe somewhere deep down inside, the whole time she's like, well, there's no way he doesn't know now, and she's just never said anything.
Right, because more often than not, in the episodes where she has, in fact, tried to make Ryo jealous, at some point, and we kind of asked this in those episodes here on the podcast, has she addressed why she's trying to make him jealous? Is it just for her own sense of self-confidence, or is it because she's trying to communicate to him, hey, you dummy, I feel something for you?
And she might not even, again, if she's too far into her own head, she might not even realize that that's what she's doing, even though she totally is.
But right now, she realizes.
Well, yeah, because she doesn't have that inhibitor right at this moment.
Right.
To try and tell her to stop and don't say this.
And see, that's the thing. All the pretense is gone. And we know that even further because of how Ryo responds right here. He's looking out the window. He is not looking her in the face. He can't do it right now.
No, he turns to look at her, and eventually he does turn and look away again.
But right here he says, well, maybe the guy you love is just too shy to say I love you back.
which means I'm the guy. I'm just too shy to say I love you back.
Which is to say, he loves her. That's it right there. They, without realizing it entirely, have just confessed to each other.
It's a little roundabout, but I guess in a way they did it.
Well, yeah, because Kaori's saying, I love someone, and she doesn't say, I don't feel that way anymore. She still, with having a head injury, realizes she feels love. Romantic love, and it's for somebody who's a protector, somebody who she's tried to communicate it to, and Ryo's saying, well, maybe that guy, I'm not saying it's me, but if it was me, I could imagine that dude's just too shy to say it back. Like, this is as best as you're gonna get for some time here in the show.
Kaori responds with, so are you a shy guy, Ryo? And he's just, Cause
she called him on it.
And she's like, I guess men are just selfish then. It's weird how she didn't take it to be like, that's really interesting. Both the guy I love and you, Ryo, are both shy guys. That's weird. Didn't put two and two together there for a second, but...
Like, granted, she's not the greatest detective, but, like, if anybody else was in the room... Well, okay, one, if anybody else had been in the room, this conversation never would have happened.
Oh, sure.
But then, two, on top of that, even if somebody had been there to, like, help spur them along, I don't know that it would have helped. Because this is happening semi-naturally right now.
Oh yeah, it has to be natural for them. And I guess Kaori doesn't put the two things together because, well, she does have a head injury.
But see, here's the problem with that head injury. They are so close. They're so close. They're on the cusp of a full confession to each other, thereby having a chance at happiness for the two of them that have had so much tragedy in their lives. But they have a specific tragedy that binds them. And here's the kicker right here. Kaori then realizes, oh, wait a minute. I've been in the hospital this whole time. I should call my brother.
Oh, no!
No!
Oh, my heart, no!
No! You were right there! There's one reason, and one reason only, why Ryo will not admit to it. And it's not that he's shy. Ryo's the least shy person in the world when it comes to a lot of things.
Oh, well... Clearly, he said, oh, the guy might just be shy. So part of it clearly is shyness. But there is another part.
And it's Makimura. It's the dying promise to Makimura that he would not let any harm come to Kaori. And part of that would be, keep your hands off her.
Yeah, I feel like it's not nearly as expressed in the anime, but there are other pieces of media where Makimura is a little more forceful of, hey, don't touch my sister. Take, for example, that stupid fucking Jackie Chan movie, who very expressly is like, hey, don't touch my sister.
Who's a child at this point when I tell you that.
It's very strange. That should not have been a thing. But anyway.
It's there in the French live-action movie, too.
Yeah. So I feel like it's kind of more of maybe a manga sort of implication of, hey, you've got a problem with girls. Don't do this to my sister, man. And I think he kind of said that when he was alive to think about it and not really like as he was dying. Because as he was dying, it was just, oh, make sure harm doesn't come to her. Not so much, don't touch her.
Well, no, I want to say that in episode 3, that Makimura says, I want to keep her away from you because I know how you are.
Yeah, it is something like that.
But see, here's the thing. At this very moment, she thinks he's alive. And that immediately puts Ryo in the mindset of, I can't take that away from her. I can't, not again. So what does he do? He starts lying.
Yeah, your brother. Okay, I know Makimura. We're partners. And he's not here right now.
He's out of town.
He's out of the country even. So I'll tell him. And you just don't worry about anything. Bye.
I gotta go. And so, very sweetly, Kaori accepts, oh, he's gotta go. Oh, I understand. You must be busy. Will you come visit me again?
Yeah, I'll come back. Just give me a minute, bye. And he's upset about this, obviously.
Because, he gets out the door and he's maybe got, 2 seconds to himself, right? Imagine everything going through his head right now.
Like, man, she just dropped this bombshell on me about her own feelings, and I was getting close to my own feelings. Oh, and then she had to go and say something about Makimura, and, I really cared about that man. Oh, my God. Oh, I gotta get out of here. Ah, damn it, here comes Sayako. I can't even think about this right now.
And she's like, well, how'd it go in there? What's going on? And Ryo tells her, it's probably better off that she doesn't remember anything.
Yeah, in fact, you know what I'm gonna go do? I need to go do stuff back at the apartment, cause maybe she should just go on believing life is normal and a-okay, if maybe even back before she ever met me.
And so the quickest I've ever seen this done, he gets a hold of movers, right? And if you've ever moved before, alright, how hard is it to get somebody to help you move, even if you're hiring movers?
I can't think of an organization that's like, hey, I need to move out, can you be down here in like an hour?
Oh yeah, sure, we'll be down there with 2 trucks.
I've never heard
and a
of
crew
such
of dudes. That just doesn't happen.
She had enough stuff for like 2 trucks.
I mean, like, as we've discussed, she has her own apartment to herself underneath Ryo's floor. Like, she's the floor beneath him.
Like, basically, I suppose if it is the entire floor, then okay, maybe that might be space for 2 trucks.
So yeah, that's what he's doing right now. Ryo has hired movers, and he's getting all of her crap out of the apartment. And so Saeko comes over, and she's like, what the hell is all this?
Well, I found a place back at Makimura's old apartment building, which you would think, is it just his old apartment? I mean, it might be, but then again, it might be filled by another occupant at this point, so maybe they just got a different one. Anyway, I'm gonna send all of her stuff over there, she's gonna be happier over there, and it's gonna be great. This will be the best living choice for her. If she doesn't remember anything, she doesn't have to interact with me, getting her into all this mess. This is for the best.
Because think about this for a second. So Ryo, in very short order, got these movers, right? He's already told Saeko, oh, I found the apartment. That same building, maybe even that same unit like you're saying. And he has already, within like hours, you imagine, set all this up. And so that makes me wonder, like, you need money to make that happen that fast.
Right.
Like, how much money did Ryo throw down purely to try and protect Kaori?
A lot, and they're struggling for money all the time.
But are they, though? Like, that's making me wonder, did he have, like, a secret stash? Did he have to sell something? What did he do to make sure he had that much free liquid capital to be able to try and send Kaori back to her old life?
You remember that night that Makimura died, and it was her birthday, he came back with a briefcase full of cash and said, Kaori, take this money and go and live a nice life and get out of this hellhole of a life, and she didn't do it. You think
he held onto the briefcase?
This is headcanoning for sure. There's no way to be certain, but like, maybe the whole time, he got that money the night that Makimura died from trying to take down the people that killed him. Like, is there not a part of Ryo that's like, I can't touch this. This is for Kaori.
I would believe that. I would 100% believe that.
Very much headcanon, not confirmed, not real.
But it's plausible.
It could be. It could be.
So Saeko, naturally is stunned at this news, but she's still also remembering, oh yeah, I'm also a cop and you asked me to do something for you. So Saeko tells Ryo, hey, so I tracked down that license plate for you. Turns out that's a dead end. That car was stolen. So I got nothing for you.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for trying. But before he can do anything else, there's a phone call. So Ryo goes and he answers his phone. And who's on the other end of the line? It's Tetsu. It's the shoe shine guy, who I guess this season is more important than you would think a shoe shine guy would be.
This is his second episode in a row.
Yeah.
And so the funny part for me is he's calling from across the street.
Maybe he needs to never be seen at Ryo's place.
Oh, that would make sense. No, that makes perfect sense.
Because, yeah, he could just walk up there and tell him, but I do get the feeling that if anybody ever saw him go to his apartment, they would put 2 and 2 together a little too fast.
This asshole's helping out City Hunter. Shoot him. So yeah, you're right. That would be bad. And so Tetsu's got valuable information for him right now. He lets him know, hey, so just so you know, you're being hunted right now by 2 dudes.
They're these 2 thugs, and really, they just want to be able to say that they killed City Hunter. So they're after you, and they want you to come out, and they're hanging down out at Harumi Wharf, where everyone you've ever fought has hung out and tried to fight you. And I don't know, man, I just thought you should know about that.
I didn't know if you wanted to talk about this. They use a specific term to refer to them. The subtitles say gangster, but in Japanese they're using the word chinpira.
I mean, gangster's not a bad choice of words or anything, just that chinpira can kind of coexist alongside yakuza, but also just kind of thugs or smaller time gangs, just sort of that realm. It's just a word that I recognized kind of floating around. Like, take for example, I was playing the Japanese version of Like a Dragon 7, so Yakuza Like a Dragon. I played it in Japanese before it got its English release, and you would just run into these thug-looking dudes, semi-Yakuza-looking dudes, and they would always say, Chinpira, 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 every time a battle would load. Would be these subtitles that are telling you what kind of a mob you're fighting right now. So, yeah, that just tells you what kind of guys these are. They're just kind of low lives, just kind of scummy.
So they're scum, thugs, or some kind of small-time mafioso.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. So as soon as they hang up the phone, Ryo starts heading for the door, and Saiko's asking him, where are you going? And he's like, oh, found the dudes. I'm gonna go make them pay for Kaori's hospital bill.
Yeah, that's the nice way of putting it, I guess. Meanwhile, Saiko's like, oh, I guess those guys aren't gonna live for very much longer. And I'm just like, oh my god, she just knows he's gonna go murder these men.
He's gonna go do a murder twice.
Granted, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but I'm not 100% certain those two dudes are dead by the end of it.
Well,
one of them might be.
Okay.
We'll get there. But no, it's the implication that Saiko's just like, wow, he's gonna go do a murder for Kaori's sake. Also, I'm a cop and I'm not going to stop him.
Well, because she needs Ryo. She needs him to stay off the grid.
Right, of course.
And so in that sort of way, she has to kind of, not verbally, but not up front, sign off on some of City Hunter's action. So back at the hospital, Reika goes to check up on Kaori, see how she's doing, and she's like, oh, it's good to see you again. And she takes another look at the flowers, and she notices mixed in with the white carnations, there's another flower.
Yeah, little bitty red flowers, like, hey, was this on purpose? Maybe it just was a mistake. But Kaori recognizes this flower.
So the flower was a red sweet pea, which, as Kaori seems to remember, she still somehow retains her knowledge about flowers and their meanings. Red sweet peas mean eternal separation.
Oh no, did Ryo do this on purpose? Is this really how he feels about me? And she really is desperately like, I need to know more about Ryo and why he did this. Hey, take me to where he lives. Take me to where he lives right now. Even though she's still in the hospital with a head injury, she's very insistent. Nope, we need to leave right now.
And so for whatever reason, Sayako, like, again, she let Ryo walk off from his apartment, and she's still, like, sticking around, and she's going through the closets and stuff like that, which is weird enough in and of itself. This ain't your place. You don't have a warrant.
Right.
And so she opens one closet in Kaori's old room, which is now empty, and out comes this pile of, like, 14 hammers.
So I guess somehow Ryo missed the closet full of interdimensional space hammers.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I thought Kaori, like, put them back in the other dimension when she was done using them, but no, like, does she pull them out and then has to find places for them? Is that what we're saying?
Maybe she just keeps a bunch of them in a closet for extra convenience, so she doesn't have to always pull from another dimension if she doesn't have to.
I mean, I guess. Is that more efficient? Is that a time saver?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't have to hit that many perverts.
I would like the opportunity to do so.
I'm sure you would. But Reika finally shows up at Ryo's apartment with Kaori, and they fill her in on everything that's going on. Oh, he went off to Harumi Wharf. The dudes who did this to you are there. He's probably going to go do a thing.
And so Kaori's like, well, shoot, I gotta go down there. And she just kind of goes. She just leaves the apartment and just takes the first car she sees.
Saiko's car.
And it's Saiko's red sports car.
Her Porsche.
She just kind of jumps over the hood.
She does this Dukes of Hazzard slide across the hood.
And then gets in the driver's seat because it's a Western car, so you have to kind of jump over the hood of the car, I guess. And then peels out, and I don't know, Saiko just kind of lets her. We don't ever see her be like, this bitch with a head injury just stole my car.
Let me put an APB out on this hoe with my car. Also, of all the things to remember, we are so lucky that Kaori remembered how to drive stick.
I feel like driving stick was much more common in 1987, 1988.
Than it would be now.
Right, yeah.
But I'm thinking, like, does her Fiat, is that not a standard car, or is that stick as well?
I don't know. I think it's entirely possible it would be stick.
Because I'm pretty sure the Mini is Ryo having to drive stick.
Right, and I think his car is an older model as well. I'm pretty sure his car is a 60s model.
Entirely possible. Speaking of which, we see the Mini for a second as it pulls up to Harumi Wharf.
And the two dudes, the two Chinpira who've been waiting for him, they've got their guns tracked looking out the window, and they see Ryo's coming up.
And so Tetsu gave this information a little bit earlier, and I guess we kind of of missed it, that one of them is an expert at shooting, and the other one is an expert at traps and bombs.
Ain't no way either one of them are good enough to stop Ryo, though. Like, that's just not a thing. It's just not possible.
Two unnamed dudes? Nah, man, you have no names on the call sheet.
They never named them the whole time, did they?
No.
No, this is just bullshit. This is the stupidest plot, and it's really just a contrivance just to get Kaori to have amnesia so that they can have some character development, which is great, mind you, but these two dudes are fucking morons.
Well, yeah, like, if we see you guys aren't even named, like, you're going down. Like, they didn't even bother to give you, like, that was the one thing Sam Rockwell's character had correct in Galaxy Quest. Like, my character doesn't even have a name. I'm gonna die. The same is true here on City Hunter.
Well, we think. Because the whole time, Ryo's just kind of walking up like the Terminator. Like,
I was thinking that too, like, very Terminator vibes. Slow, determined pace, walking right at him.
Mind you, he does go by a few barrels, which they have rigged to explode. And when they do explode these barrels as he's walking by them, he runs from those explosions. But pretty much from that point on, the entire time he's focused on getting inside this building.
This warehouse.
This warehouse where these two dudes are. And they're throwing out more ammo. And do they drop a grenade, a smoke grenade or something? Or is that just the smoke coming in from the outside?
No, that's just the smoke from the explosions outside.
Okay, so he's walking into this building as smoke is pouring into that door. And they're like, we gotta close the garage door. But the smoke is still kind of billowing in. He's just walking in like, you motherfuckers.
And they cut the lights, and they're like, okay, if we turn off the lights, he can't see us. We've got infrared goggles, so we've got the advantage. You don't even know who this is.
I mean, they say they do, but they're sure not acting smart enough to know what it is he's gonna do. And he hasn't even pulled his gun yet.
No, but he pulls it right here when they think they've got the drop on him. Mind you, this is the thing I didn't understand. The dude who is the shooter, he's got an M16. He's acting like he's got a sniper rifle, which he does not. If you've played any FPS, if you've played Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood, whatever, you know there's a very distinct difference between a sniper rifle and an M16.
But Josh, he's a shooting professional.
Not with that gun.
So, I'm just saying, that's what Tetsu said, and I guess Tetsu's just passing along the information he heard, because this cannot be true, because Ryo, he's on these guys with his fists first.
Well, yeah, like, he shoots the M16 out of the dude's hand, but he's ready to throw hands. And so they're like, damn, this guy's got us. We need to get the hell out of this building. And so they exit, and unfortunately, that's right when Kaori pulls up in the Porsche.
She knew exactly where to go. Like, I think that's Ryo's car. She somehow has recognized that car.
She retained the knowledge.
I don't know if she retained the knowledge, or is just like, well, this couldn't possibly be anybody else's vehicle. After all, who else would be here right now?
And so naturally, the dudes who see her are like, hey, that's the chick who was with City Hunter the other day. Get her!
And so they get hands on her as she's trying to get away. And one of the guys is like, all right, well, you can just watch City Hunter die in there. And Kaori's like, wait, Ryo, City Hunter?
And he's like, what? You didn't know? Sorry, it's an old school WWE reference. And so the building blows.
Because it was rigged to explode, I guess.
And then still, out from the fiery wreckage comes slow-moving Ryo. You can almost hear the da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da.
He's just mad, and he's especially mad now because Kaori is there and they've got their hands on her. And like, what the fuck? We can't have that. Kaori does manage to bite this dude's hand and kind of free herself a little bit.
Like, Ryo threw his gun down because they're like, don't come any closer, otherwise we're gonna off her. And then, yeah, she bites the dude's hand. Then Ryo goes in for the punch. So, yeah, I think he only knocked out that dude. The first dude.
But the other guy, we're not forgiving that guy. At some point, Ryo manages to get his gun back, I guess.
And I'm pretty sure he got a chest shot in.
Yeah, it was at least, like, somewhere in the upper quadrant, kind of between shoulder and...
neck?
I don't know that it was the heart. If he did get him in the neck, though...
I'm pretty sure it was a kill shot.
It could be a kill shot if it gets him in that artery right there in the neck.
Look, I'm convinced because it was Kaori, because it's this episode, that man is dead.
It's entirely possible that man is dead. I just don't know about the guy that he punched. Like, maybe he went back and after, like, he's gonna have this conversation with Kaori in a second, and maybe after he has this conversation with Kaori, he, like, goes back up over to him and blam, blam, like, gives him 2 in the chest while she's passed out.
Give him the old double tap.
Yeah, well, nobody is watching and she doesn't have to see it or something. I don't know.
Also, we kind of forgot Kaori is here, and, you know that thing that happened at the beginning of the episode that caused all this?
Falling down the stairs?
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that happened again while she was trying to get away. So then she fell down the stairs again.
A second time.
And...
Ryo, you're not doing so well with your partner.
And she doesn't exactly immediately get all of her memory back, but she does seem to start recalling some things, like...
Yeah, so Ryo runs down the stairs after her, and she's still a little lucid. She's in the process of passing out right now, right?
Right.
And so she tells Ryo as she's fading, you know, I think I finally remembered it. I remembered the person who I love. And she doesn't say who.
Right.
But she asks him, hey, I saw the flowers that you left me. How do you feel about me? Do you hate me that much? I need you to tell me right now. How do you feel about me?
And Ryo does seem very serious. Like, okay, I'm gonna tell you how I feel about you. Kaori, And he's speaking.
We see his mouth moving. We see lip flap.
But we do not hear what this man says. But whatever he says, I guess Kaori is satisfied with that. Like, okay, bleh. And then she passes out.
And Ryo's like, oh crap. So I imagine in this moment, in between, I imagine Ryo picking her up and putting her, like, back in the Mini and driving her to the hospital instead of, like, waiting for an ambulance. Maybe in that moment, he put 2 in the chest of the other guy.
Maybe. I mean, we never hear about, hey, did anybody take those guys in? Yeah,
what
guys? They might just be totally off the record. Dead somewhere, we don't know.
Just an industrial accident. It could have been that simple. But see, here's the thing. You would think this is her second head injury in as many days, like 2 days apart maybe, right?
Right.
3 days max. You would think, oh, I need to get her back to the hospital now so she can get checked up.
But he actually doesn't take her to the hospital. He takes her back to his apartment and just puts her in bed.
Like that, oh, she just fell down the stairs again, maybe has another contusion or concussion. You know, she'll just sleep it off. It's fine this time.
But it is, though, because she just sleeps it off and then she wakes up and then she's got all of her memory back. Yay! Everything is fine. Everything's fine.
Psycho, Reika, Ryo, what are y'all doing here?
You're all here. We've got a Wizard of Oz moment. You were there.
And you were there.
And you were there.
But then it's revealed to Kaori, you know what isn't there? All your shit.
Ryo, put it all on a truck. Hauled your shit out of here. And at first she's real upset, and Ryo is looking very scared, like, oh my god, Kaori, I'm so sorry, please don't punish me. And she's like, alright, this time, I won't.
And everybody's kind of shocked by that, like, wait, you won't? That's like your thing. Why won't you do it?
Like, 1, getting mad at him for any tiny thing is your thing.
Any little infraction.
2, this is not a little infraction. All your shit is gone. Why is all your shit gone? You have every right to be extremely upset about this. She's just like, I don't know. I had kind of a nice dream, and she's getting all giggly and all nervous and blushing. And, yeah. And they're like, what was the nice dream? And she's like, I'm not gonna talk about it. And
well,
Ryo...
she does. She says as much as Ryo told me, and then she doesn't finish the thought. She just starts giggling to herself.
And Ryo knows exactly what has happened, which is probably more even than the audience knows.
But he's not saying anything.
But you can tell he is also very nervous, which sort of leans into maybe the guy is just too shy to tell you he loves you.
And so everybody jokes about getting amnesia. Supergirl is playing, and that's where we end the episode. So yeah, right here within the course of about 22 minutes, we get the most character development in their relationship than we've gotten since probably the beginning of the season.
It's stuff like this, in not just this show, but in other shows like it, where you see a whole bunch of character development happen. I can think of some moments over the course of the Tenchi franchise's lifespan, where you get really big, deep moments of character development between 2 characters, and then we just have to forget that happened because we still need to keep producing anime episodes. And so we sort of go back to the same old formulaic. Will they, won't they? We have to get irrationally upset at the main character. I'm feeling some Love Hina vibes here.
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Mind you, Love Hina happened after City Hunter did. But you know the type, right?
Yes.
Like, you get these moments of, oh my god, they almost, like, had a thing right there. Oh, no, we have to hit him again.
Yeah.
I remember Love Hina in particular made me extremely angry.
Well, because
for that reason.
It's two completely different authors, and admittedly, in comparison, because mind you, I was a real big Love Hina head back when I was in high school, right, when the manga dropped, and comparatively speaking, there is now, as an adult, looking back on it, there's much less to like about a character like Narusegawa versus Kaori.
Yeah, I think I found myself finding Naru far more abusive. Mind you, it's not like Kaori doesn't do kinda some of the exact same shit.
Well, but it's way more founded in that Ryo is, in fact, being a sex pest versus that manga where Keitaro accidentally ends
Everything
up in
is an accident.
Everything's an accident, and even then, he doesn't have anywhere near the level of confidence that, oh, I am trying to sexually assault somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
But, that's neither here nor there. The thing about it, though, is this feels so much richer, mainly because I think in that particular case, you're dealing with two kids, basically, in comparison. Well, then again,
Kaori's age is pretty similar to those characters in Love Hina.
Kaori is about 2 years older than Naru is in that manga. Mind you, Ryo is considerably older than Keitaro is.
And thus considerably older than Kaori. At least they're both adults, though.
They are both adults, which is...
Some of those people in Love Hina are not adults.
I mean, not to get off on that tangent, but that's one of many things that's up with Love Hina and why I don't actually read a lot of Akamatsu's work anymore.
And Ken Akamatsu himself, is a very problematic person, so...
But how many manga authors can you say that about nowadays? Quick answer, it's more than I wish were in the world.
It's most of them.
Yes.
Okay, maybe it's not most of them.
It's two major ones that I know of right now off the top.
Okay.
But, that having been said, I'm here for this development between the two of them, even though, you're right, we still have a whole season to get through, and we have to go back to status quo before that 22nd minute is up. But I enjoyed so much that conversation between the two of them there at the hospital.
Right.
Because those moments, they're so infrequent here in the show, and then when they do happen, it's like, oh, just pull at my heartstrings, I want that.
So if you were guessing this whole time, all the way up until now, that this was what it was like, you had to sit here and think, but maybe they actually like each other. Well, now, no, you know they like each other, and that colors everything they do afterward. So even when they're behaving like assholes to each other, they're doing it with you, the audience, knowing that they have some other feelings happening beneath the surface.
Yeah, after this episode, they have completely removed all doubt.
Right.
And so now, yes, us here at the podcast, and now you guys listening at home, you will have to go forward with us in this knowledge that they have feelings. They caught them, and there's a whole bunch of them. And now we have to pretend it's not there, because next week, we're going to go back to formula, and Ryo is just going to hit on a police officer lady who's trying to get good at shooting.
And go to the Olympics.
That's the important part.
For shooting.
Yes.
This is another one of those episodes where it's like, oh, Ryo is a good enough shooter to go to the Olympics, but he doesn't go to the Olympics.
Like, he could make bank off just advertising alone, but he doesn't do it.
This happens at least twice.
This is like the second time, right? This is going to be the second time?
Where he has to interact with somebody who's good enough to shoot at the Olympics, and he's better than the Olympic shooter.
But he doesn't do it.
But he doesn't go to the Olympics.
So yeah, we'll have that for you next week, and more of the same, and we'll just see how much longer they can hold out before somebody has to say I love you.
It's gonna be just a little bit, but it might be this season. So come back next time when we cover the 21st episode of City Hunter 2, Aim for the Gold Medal, Intimate Training for the Shooting Beauty.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on Twitter. For now, I'm at JoshKnightTheFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 71st episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, Josh isn't gonna get to go to the Olympics.
But you know how hard I trained.